The man who gave me my first real chance used to say that dignity costs nothing but means everything. I didn't fully understand what he meant until the day I watched a woman in a laundromat try to disappear. My name is Daniel Reeves, and I want to tell you about the night I almost didn't say anything. There was a period in my life, I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed of it either, when I knew exactly what it felt like to count quarters on a Tuesday afternoon and come up short. I was 26, freshly laid off from a warehouse job in Akron, sleeping on an air mattress in my cousin's spare room, and eating whatever he didn't finish. I remember once finding $4.30 in an old jacket pocket and feeling genuinely grateful. Not embarrassed, grateful, because $4.30 meant I could eat lunch that day. I tell you that because it matters for what comes later. By the time I was 34, things had turned around. Not lottery winner turned around. More like slow, grinding, wake up early and stay late turned around. I was running a small appliance repair shop in Nashville, Tennessee. A real place, not a fancy one. A strip mall between a nail salon and a check cashing place. We fixed washing machines, dryers, dishwashers. Nothing glamorous. But it was mine, and it was steady, and I had 3 guys working for me who I trusted with my life. I went to the laundromat on Dickerson Pike on a Thursday evening because my shop's industrial washer had broken down and I needed to clean a pile of shop rags before the weekend. It was the kind of errand that takes longer than you expect. I brought a book I never ended up opening. The place was mostly empty. An older gentleman asleep in a chair near the window. A teenage boy with headphones in, scrolling his phone. And a woman, I'd guess late 20s, sitting in a plastic chair against the wall with a little boy on her lap. The boy looked about 5. He was wearing a dinosaur shirt and holding a green crayon, drawing something on the back of a receipt. I loaded my machines, sat down, and did what you do in laundromats. I stared at nothing. I noticed the woman because she kept checking her phone. Not the way people check phones out of habit. The way people check phones when they're waiting on a number to change. After a few minutes, she got up, carried the boy to the row of machines in the back, and started loading clothes. The boy stood beside her, still holding his crayon, narrating something to himself in a low voice. A story about dinosaurs, I think. She got the clothes in, got the detergent in, and then stood there in front of the coin slot. She checked her wallet, checked it again, turned and looked at the change machine on the wall, which had an out-of-order sign taped to it, had probably had that sign for months. She stood very still. I've been in enough tight spots to recognize that stillness. It's not confusion. It's the moment right before you make a decision you don't want to make, and you're buying yourself a few extra seconds before you have to make it. She unloaded the clothes back into her basket. She did it quietly. She didn't make a scene. She picked up the basket, took her son's hand. I was on my feet before I thought about it. "Excuse me," I said. "I'm sorry. I don't mean to intrude. But the change machine is broken. I've got quarters if you need them." She stopped, turned around slowly. She had dark eyes and the look of someone who had been offered things before that came with conditions attached. "How much?" she asked. "However much you need." She studied me for a second. "I need $6 in quarters." I went to my jacket, counted out 24 quarters, and held them out in my palm. She looked at my hand, then at my face, then took them. "Thank you," she said. It was careful, like she wasn't sure yet whether to mean it. I went back to my seat. She got the machines running. The boy went back to his receipt and his crayon. I didn't say anything else to her for about 40 minutes. She was folding laundry when I noticed the boy had fallen asleep across 2 chairs, his crayon still in his fist. She was trying to fold everything one-handed so she didn't wake him. She was failing at it, a little. "I can hold him," I said, "if that makes it easier." She looked up. "I don't know you." "You don't," I said. "That's fair. I'm over here if you change your mind." She went back to folding. Struggled with a fitted sheet the way every human being struggles with a fitted sheet. After a minute she laughed, just a small sound, mostly at herself. "I'm the worst at these," she said. "Everybody is, there's no good way." She finally balled it up and stuffed it in the basket the way people do when they've given up. "I'm Kim," she said. "And that's Max Daniel," I said. We didn't talk much after that. Small things. The weather had turned cold early this year. She'd grown up in Knoxville, moved to Nashville 2 years ago. I asked what brought her here, and she said, simply, a job that didn't work out, and I didn't push. When my rags were done, I started pulling them out and folding them. She saw what I was doing, the pile of greasy shop rags, and looked at me differently. "You fix things?" she asked. "Appliances? Washers, dryers. I've got a shop off Dickerson." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "I used to be a vet tech, used to. Clinic closed down 8 months ago. I've been doing whatever since. Stocking shelves mostly. The overnight shift. She glanced at Max, still asleep. My mom watches him while I work. She can't do it much longer. She's got her own health stuff going on. I nodded. I didn't say I'm sorry because I've never much liked when people say that, and I didn't think she wanted it either. I finished folding my rags. I sat there for a minute, thinking. Here's what I've learned about the impulse to help someone. Most people feel it and then talk themselves out of it. They think, it's not my business. They think, what if they take it wrong? They think, I don't even know if this will help. And those thoughts are all reasonable, and they're also how you end up doing nothing. I thought about what Tom Garrett told me when I was 26, and he handed me a broom and said, start Monday. Tom Garrett, who owned the repair shop before me and sold it to me at a price that was more generosity than business. He told me once, I didn't rescue you, son. I just propped a door open and let you walk through it. I had a card in my wallet from a veterinary clinic over on Charlotte Avenue. Dr. Sandra Okafor. I'd fixed her industrial dryer unit 3 months ago, and she'd given me her card and said if I ever knew anyone good with animals, to send them her way. She was looking for an experienced vet tech. I hadn't known anyone. Until now, I took the card out. I thought about handing it to Kim directly. Then I thought about what it feels like when someone hands you something like that. The weight of it, the obligation, the way it can feel like charity even when it isn't meant that way. I set the card on top of her folded laundry basket. On top of the balled-up fitted sheet, I wrote on the back of one of my own business cards, Dr. Okafor is looking for a vet tech. Tell her Daniel Reeves from the Dickerson shop sent you. The rest is yours. I picked up my bag of rags. Good luck, Kim, I said, and Max. I left before she could say anything. I want to be honest with you. I didn't think about it that much afterward. I hoped it helped. I didn't expect to hear from her. People get cards and cards get lost. Life moves fast and sometimes doors don't open even when you prop them. About 3 weeks later, my phone rang. Number I didn't recognize. Is this Daniel Reeves? It is. This is Kim. From the laundromat on Dickerson. I don't know if you remember. I remember. A pause. I got the job. I wanted you to know. I sat down. That's great news. I want to pay you back the $6, she said, and the way she said it, you could hear the seriousness behind it. This wasn't a joke. She had thought about this. Kim, I said, keep the $6. I don't feel right about that. Then do something good with it for Max. That's all. Another pause. Why did you help me? I thought about how to answer that. I needed help once, I said, and someone helped me. And they didn't make a big thing of it, so I try not to either. She didn't say anything for a second. Then, okay, good luck with the job. Thank you, Daniel. She hung up. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. 7 months later, I got a letter, handwritten, on plain paper. Kim wrote to tell me that she'd been at the clinic for 6 months, that Dr. Okafor had promoted her to head technician, that her mother's health had stabilized. They'd found a medication that was managing things better. She wrote that Max had started kindergarten and that his favorite subject was, and I'm quoting here, all of it. She wrote that she was telling me because she thought I should know that the door I propped open had led somewhere real. She included a photograph. Kim standing outside the clinic in scrubs, Max beside her in his dinosaur shirt, a different one, but the same theme, giving the camera a thumbs up. On the back of the photograph she had written, he still carries a crayon everywhere. I think that's your fault. I laughed out loud in my empty shop. First good laugh I'd had in weeks. I taped the photograph to the wall next to my workbench between a supply schedule and a reminder about the commercial account I kept forgetting to invoice. It's still there. I've thought about that evening a lot since then, about what I almost did, which was sit in my chair and watch her leave and tell myself it wasn't my business. About the $6, which is nothing, which is everything, depending on where you're standing. About the card I left on top of the basket instead of handing over directly, because something told me that she needed to pick it up herself, that the choosing of it mattered. Tom Garrett used to say that the best help is the help that doesn't ask to be remembered. I believe that. I've tried to live by it, but I'll tell you something. I remember it. I remember it every time I look at that photograph. Not because I want credit, because it reminds me that the gap between someone struggling and someone not struggling is often smaller than we think. Sometimes it's 24 quarters. Sometimes it's a phone number written on the back of a business card. Sometimes it's just not looking away when you could have. Max is in first grade now. Kim sent a note at Christmas. She said he'd told his class, for a school project about helpers in the community, about the man at the laundromat who gave us quarters. His teacher had asked her about it afterward. Kim wrote, I told her the truth. I said a stranger decided to be kind. She said that was a good lesson. I said I thought so too. I folded that note and put it in my desk drawer, next to a receipt for a washer repair and a coupon I'll never use. The ordinary things. The things that hold a life together. Sometimes I think about the version of that evening where I stayed in my seat, where I told myself it wasn't my business, or that she'd figure it out, or that I didn't know her well enough. That version exists. I almost lived it. I'm glad I didn't. If you're the kind of person who sees something and wonders whether to say anything, whether to step in, whether it's your place, whether it'll come out weird, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you that I left a laundromat on a Thursday night with a bag of clean shop rags and $6 poorer, and I didn't think twice about it. And somewhere in Nashville, there's a little boy who carries a crayon everywhere he goes. That's enough for me.